I'm glad you're back for number 11 in Factor Lab's series on engaging Plan of the Day meetings. At times, certain work requires specific hazard controls due to things like the materials involved in the work, concrete and silica exposure, for example. Welding inside a tank requires a confined space entry permit. Working with certain chemicals may require special instructions and equipment and PPE based on the hazard communication program and the specific information on safety data sheets. There is a process when dealing with specific or high hazards. The procedure captures the process, which becomes a barrier to the risk. When you're dealing with specific hazards, the leader and crew need to step it up. It is extremely important for a foreman to state specific hazard controls or procedures and check for gaps in worker knowledge, particularly for the examples I just gave. These are critical health and safety measures that are necessary to minimize the risk of injury and illness in construction and industrial settings. Procedures. The foreman should clearly explain the procedures and controls that are in place for each of these hazards, including the steps that workers need to follow and any relevant equipment or materials that they will need to use. Okay, everybody, we need to enter the raw material tank 23 to find the steam coil leak and weld a patch over it. Teresa, you're the entry supervisor. John, you're the entrant, and Dave, you're the attendant. Teresa, here's the entry procedure and permit. Please follow the procedure and complete the permit. See Chuck in the tool crib for ventilation equipment, the 4-gas meter, and anything else that you might need. Let me know when everything's ready to go or if you run into any snags. Training. The foreman should check that the crew is trained on the procedures and controls, ensuring that the workers understand how to implement them and are able to do so safely and effectively. I checked the training database and verified that you all have been trained on confined space entry. Does anyone have questions on their role? Assessing worker knowledge. The foreman should assess worker knowledge and understanding of the procedures and controls, identifying any gaps or areas for improvement. This could be done through a safety audit or the foreman observing the workers as they perform the task. I've asked the safety department to check on the job, and I'll also be around. If you have a question, let me know. If I see a gap, I will let you know. I want to make sure we have a good plan and execution. Any questions or comments on what we're doing? The foreman should reinforce the importance of these procedures and controls, emphasizing the critical role they play in minimizing the risk of injury and illness in the workplace. To summarize, by clearly explaining the procedures, checking that everyone is trained, and assessing worker knowledge, addressing gaps, and reinforcing the importance of these measures, the foreman can help to ensure that the workers are fully aware of the hazards and have the knowledge and skills to work safely and effectively.